in the world on these documents, and the experts have all agreed this document is a forgery. There's no way this document, in fact, is going to have been authentic. Now, as we proceeded to examine this, the next document that came into question was the Selective Service card. You all remember draft cards when you had to go to the post office and to register the draft, and they took a stamp and they stamped it with the date? Okay, here's Obama's. If you take a look, his date stamp is 80, 2 digits, not 1980. And this is the kind of a pica stamp used in the post office. Anybody here ever worked in the post office? If you use one of these stamps, they're issued only to the post office, and the stamps all have 4 digits for the date. You'll see these are all 1980 authentic stamps, all with 4 digits. Now, what this means is, in fact, one of them is even from the same post office that Obama registered his in 2 days after Obama registered his. And somehow it went from a 4-digit date stamp to a 2-digit date stamp. Now, our Piles investigators began to figure out, well, why was this? And they went out and they bought an X-Acto knife. You see where I'm going? And they realized that the forgers, at the time they were going to do it, couldn't get a 1980 slug to put into that hole on the date stamp. But they could find a 2008. See, here's the way it looks in that same station, July 31st in Hawaii, and here's the way Obama's looks. 2 digits and off to the right. Yes?
Where is this document posted?
Where's the document posted? This document is on the internet. The Selective Service answered 2 FOIA requests in which they released Obama's Selective Service card. Debbie Schleschel was one of the people who got it released. 2 different people had this card and 2 different releases of it, with, by the way, each of which has a different locator number when they released it, which is impossible, but both of which look identical on the stamp.
So this was released by...
Is released by the Selective Service in a FOIA request.
Freedom of Information Act.
Freedom of Information Act.
Going back, I was looking at the name. Did it have Barack Hussein Obama?
Yes, the name was Barack Hussein Obama, but it's not in his handwriting.
No, I mean, 2.
No, it did not have the 2 on it.
His birth certificate was supposed to...
His birth certificate had the 2 on it. His birth certificate had the 2 on it. The Selective Service card does not have the 2 on it. What they figured out, what happened was, what they did, I'll get that and show it to you here. What they did was, here's Barack Obama's card so you can see it a little bit more clearly. He just signed Barack H. Obama, and it has many differences from his typical signature. Now, what they did was they got a 2008 stamp slug to fit in that 3rd right there of the pica stamp. They used a knife, they cut it in half. So the 2008 took the 08 and turned it upside down, it suddenly 80. And when you put it back in the slug, if you don't cut it just perfectly, it has a tendency to shift right. And so therefore the investigators and the sheriff's posse went and got all these. They had a hard time finding the stamps. They finally bought them on eBay. Got them, went through this testing, and after testing, they duplicated what they saw in Obama's, but only by forging it. Was the only way they could duplicate it.
But of course, so I don't want to get off track, but I've studied this. And is this a document, this is a representation of what was presented to you or
Yes.
by the Selective Service of
Yes, okay, the way we got this, okay, let me explain. The way we got the document was 2 FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act, went to Selective Service. Selective Service sent to each of them this card, which they said was Obama's Selective Service record. We got a hold of that card. And we made a request to the Selective Service to release the original, which, by the way, they have to do if they've released this in a FOIA request. Selective Service refuses to show us the original. Randy Kirchner?
So one of the people who did the FOIA request was a retired federal agent for ICE, Immigration and National.
That's right.
He was a retired ICE agent who requested this, and he testified that that's what it was.
Yeah, one of the, just so everybody can hear this, Commander Kirchner is saying is that one of the FOIA requests was from a retired ICE agent, and he got sent this card from the Selective Services system as Barack Obama's legitimate card. And it has these defects in it, the 802-digit off to the right. And the Selective Service last week when I was in Arizona refused to show the original. The sheriff, we sat around and strategized it, the sheriff said, wrote back a letter, says, that means you got the original and you're affirming that it's authentic. Want to get them on record the same way as Hawaii, as on record as saying that birth certificate is legitimate. See, when I published Where's the Birth Certificate, we knew there was going to be, we were tipped off, there was going to be a fake birth certificate. And Joseph Farris said, why don't we change the name of the book? I said, absolutely not. If we can force Obama to release what I believe has got to be a fake document, everything's changed. Because now he owns the felony. He did not release. We do not know who created the Selective Service card. Barack Obama, though, has not denied that this is his. See, the way it happened was during the 2008 campaign, requests were made to see Obama's Selective Service card. They couldn't find it. And then suddenly they found it, and this is what they produced. And then Selective Service had the card because they released the same one. And when we analyzed it, it turns out to have been a forgery. Now Selective Service, if they respond to the letter Joe Arpaio wrote them, will own the forgery.